This is the DNVR Broncos Podcast.
Wow.
Do you like that one?
That intro. Yes.
I was hoping.
Good.
I don't really have many creative intros.
You
I just
got
have
me on that one.
different ways to say the same thing. Still no presenting sponsor if anybody wants to lowball us until.
Jump on it. We thought Cody was a front runner yesterday in the chat.
I know.
Right?
I thought Cody was going to step up. $10 a month. That's where I'm starting the bidding. Just Venmo me. I'll say it. Yeah, so that's Dre. I know we said RK was going to be back today. Turns out he's still in Vegas. Who could have seen that coming? This might be a good thing, though.
Dude, we just get to talk ball more.
We were overdue for some ball talk on this podcast.
Yeah.
I know the people who actually listen to the podcast might disagree because the real ones who want the ball talk probably listen to somebody else. That's too dark. That's sad.
That's sad. Don't say that.
But yeah, I was just realizing we're only 17 days from training camp.
It's hype, bro.
It's crazy.
It's hype time.
And I was just sitting there because I went through for like 2.5 hours yesterday and just scheduled a bunch of tweets. So I was like, all the way through this weekend, there's just plenty of tweets coming out of the Broncos account, so I don't have to worry about that. Because Zach usually does most of that.
Of course.
And I was like, okay, well, tomorrow's going to be a massive writing day. What are you going to write? And I was like, well, there's really nothing new to write about. And I realized it's time to start doing training camp previews.
It's time, my friend.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to finish
like
this.
a training camp preview, huh?
So I think I'm going to go home and write all this stuff up about the running backs. And because we got 2.5 weeks. It's crazy. And then football.
Get with it. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Also, I don't know, people don't care about ball talk. I got the feeling people are pretty hype on Jaleel McLaughlin after we talked about him yesterday.
How could you not be?
You need to know ball, though, to be hyped on Jaleel.
That is true. There were even like Youngstown State fans who were like quote tweeting the video saying like, oh, these guys get how cool the record is, but none of the FCS media does. And FCS media is like, mostly they're like Montana, so it's kind of cool. It's like, because Montana's like the Texas, where it just, like they haven't been overly successful, but they're always kind of in it. And you remember it's like a 24-team playoff instead of a 14 playoff.
Yeah.
And so you're still kind of like in it longer.
Sure.
And so it's tough to really complain about the media because they generally say nice things about Montana, but they do have some lapses. And a running back from Youngstown State who broke a record that partially includes Division II stats, that would be the kind of thing that I believe would get omitted.
There you go.
There you go.
That's some FCS insights.
I love FCS
you can't
players.
get on any other Broncos podcast.
That is very true. Yeah, so today we're talking about the running backs, which is going to be fun because they've got a bunch of running backs. Let's see. So we're going to go through, just kind of talk about what they do well and how they're going to be used. But then later on, we're going to talk about who's actually going to get touches and how many touches and what is that going to look like. And I ran back and looked at how the Broncos have split up carries in recent years, how the Saints split up carries under Sean Payton. Then we'll get into some fun stuff about like who else could be in the backfield later on, which I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you came up with. So that's kind of the plan for today.
Love it. I will say, and this kind of relates to what I was saying about the hype for McLaughlin. It feels so nice to have Sean Payton in place and be able to get excited about these skill position players and feel like that's reasonable for me to get excited.
Yes.
I'm not just pie in the sky in it.
Definitely.
Because you have a real offensive mind at the helm, taking care of business, getting stuff done. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited about these running backs. I'm excited about this running back room, but it all is because it actually feels like there's a reasonable offensive play caller at the helm that you can really trust.
And to me, it's not just Sean Payton either. It's that offensive line. Now that you have that offensive line set up and you have Sean Payton,
right?
That's a combination that, if Javonte's like a career 4.4 yards per carry rusher, why couldn't those two things get him to 5? Maybe that's a little optimistic, but that you would think 0.3 for the upgrade offensive line, 0.3 for Sean Payton, that doesn't seem unreasonable.
Doesn't seem unreasonable. It's a great point.
Yep.
And yeah, all of a sudden, we don't really care how much McGlinchey and Ben Powers are being paid.
No, we don't.
We just
we'll
are
talk about that in March.
That the offense might be awesome or at least good.
Yeah.
At least good for like
or at least
3
have a
tuds
strength.
a game, like 20 plus.
Imagine having a strength. You're so like, well, at least we have this offensive line.
Right, an offensive identity, huh? It's been a minute.
It certainly has been a minute.
Pre-2015.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even remember the last time the
Crazy,
Broncos
huh?
had a line that you. I mean, it was nice
or
you
an
had
offensive
Clady.
identity. Forget the line, but
Definitely. I mean, yeah, I mean, that was just Peyton Manning was the identity,
Yeah,
which is
right.
a good identity to have.
tempo, 11
Exactly.
personnel, spread out, boom, boom, boom.
10 years
like
ago.
Death by a million paper cuts.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
hunting big plays.
And now
blah,
it's
blah, blah.
death by Javonte beating the hell out of you, with Semaje also beating the hell out of you, with Ben Powers and Quinn Miners and Garrett Bowles and Mike McGlinchey beating the hell out of you.
That's an identity.
That's a pretty good identity.
You just described an identity with a variety of tight ends to throw out there for different personnel packages. Yeah. A real fullback. Okay, now we're talking. Fun. This podcast gets me excited.
Yes.
All right.
Get
those likes going, my friends. Get
let's
those
just,
likes.
like I said, kind of run through from top
you,
to
Cole.
bottom. Just what is the ideal role? So we'll start with Javonte Williams, and to me, he's their best receiving back, which is kind of crazy because he's obviously so good between the tackles. But when you kind of look at, there will be a couple touches for the guys at the back of the roster, but between him and Semaje, who can also catch the ball, like we've seen him make plays.
That's what's exciting is everyone has a fairly diversified game in this running back room, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. But still, to me, if you're trying to put him into molds, I say Semaje is your Mark Ingram and Javonte is your Alvin Kamara. What do you think?
Yes, I think the splits will be less drastic. Like, I think
Yep.
more than Ingram Kamara, they will be able to encroach and do the job the other can do from time to time, which, again, is key to not give a tell when you're lining up, right? I feel like that's been a theme kind of the last few episodes on the pod that I've been on. But yeah, generally speaking, I think you're right. I think Semaje is more goal line, short yardage, more experienced. I think you like his vision a bit more.
Yep.
What I like about Semaje is he uses that frame well. He's cutting angles, right? He's finding direct angles to get north and south, attack the line of scrimmage, get downhill, start to get to the second level where he can lean into a linebacker, lean into a defensive back, churn out those extra yards. Javonte can do that too, but Javonte is a guy you might want to scheme to get in space more,
Yep.
design a few more pass plays for. So yeah, I see it for sure, and that's exciting, especially because that would help you alleviate some of the load on Javonte that way, right?
Yep. And you would think that means less hits. Who do you think is a better pass protector? It's got to be some. You think it's a wash?
No. It's
Oh.
a good question.
Oh, okay.
I do think Semaje, again, experience and that frame, man.
Definitely.
I mean, he's going to win a lot of leverage battles when you first get to him. He's a tank.
He is a tank. And you see him, like, he'll play some of that H-back stuff too. Like, you'll see him get up on a line of scrimmage, move around, and even, like, double team with your left tackle on a pass rusher.
How fun is that?
That's very
Backfield
fun.
with both of those guys.
And with Sean Payton making the calls.
Now we're talking.
That's going to be a lot of fun. But I mean, that's the tough part for me is that it's third down. If I get one running back to get the ball in space and try to make guys miss to go pick up a 3rd and 5 out of the shotgun, I want Javonte.
Yep.
But in terms of the pass protection, you want Semaje. Now, obviously, Semaje can also make plays, and Javonte can also pass protect.
Yeah.
But what do you think those splits like? Are you trying to hunt those? Are you saving Javonte so that he's on the field in those situations? Or what's going through your mind?
Yeah, I think you probably are hoping to lean on Javonte in more, so let's exclude 3rd and short. I think you want Javonte ideally to be your 3rd down back more often than not.
Yeah.
Because, 3rd and 7, he's the guy I'd want on, the random draw to, try and run for that first down. He's the guy I want to get in space to catch the ball. He's just my big play breaker.
Yep.
So I would like to lean on him more. He's stout and strong, so you need to refine some of the pass pro stuff, but I don't think he's lost there. I always thought he was a fairly complete back. So, yeah, I think ideally those are the situations where you hope Javonte can be your guy. It's also, the thing is, I think what we're talking about really is trying to get Javonte more big play opportunities and more high leverage down in distance. While limiting his touches to try and spare the workload on him.
Yeah.
And trying to avoid, like, obvious between the tackle runs that can be avoided and given to the other guys.
Now, if you really look big picture, you're hoping to go to the playoffs this year.
Well, yeah.
And you'd like to save Javonte's legs a little bit for that point in the season. Now, the Broncos have been so far out of the playoffs for so long, you can't worry too much about that. But the idea of, especially off an injury, kind of easing him in a bit, giving him some easier touches for the first month or so of the season, and then kind of ramping up as you get into the big games and into the playoffs would make sense if you had the luxury of saving legs when you're a 5-win team last year.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's also a deep room. It's a long season. It's one of those positions you're going to be leaning on if you're really making this your identity, and you're just going to have to really lean into that, man. Like, really spread those touches and not ride one guy because, yeah, you hope to get to December and still have some options.
Can Michael Burton play those third downs?
He can be on the field.
Like, you're probably looking at him just as a, like, pass protector. You're not leaking him out much. But that's something we've seen a little bit from him in the past. Yeah. I know with the Chiefs, it was actually, I think, like 15 of his 75 carries, 17 of his 75 carries, actually 20 weren't at fullback. There were a few at halfback. There were quite a few where he was lined up as a tight end. And there were a handful where he was in the slot or out wide. So the Chiefs moved him around quite a bit. And in 2020, when he was with the Saints, he actually moved around even more than that, probably. Just looking at the raw numbers.
Yeah.
Just kind of crazy for a fullback.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a fullback nowadays, you got to find your way on the field. Like, I think Kyle Juszczyk is used fairly similarly in San Francisco, you know. The beauty is you can go to Semaje and Javonte in the backfield at the same time. You can diversify that with your fullback. You can mix and match with your tight ends, who we talked about, all, you know, Dulcich, Alberto, Troutman. I think they all can, you know, be used as that H-back kind of guy out the backfield. So it's a lot of options to where you can go one back, two tight ends, but it could look like two backs, one tight end. You can go two backs, two tight ends, 22 personnel, and make it look like 13 personnel, one back, three tight ends, vice versa, you know? So
that's Sean Payton.
Absolutely,
that's what he loves.
Man. That's good offensive play calling.
Yes.
That's modern NFL play calling. It's not like college where we lean into being a spread offense or a power spread or an air raid or a quarterback run team. It's being able to line up a certain way and then from that be able to still run the same stuff you would in 22 as you would out of 11 personnel, you know. And so on and so forth. So,
just looking at Michael Burton, so excuse me, where he lined up with the Saints in 2020, 137 snaps at fullback, 33 snaps at halfback, 29 snaps in the slot, 25 snaps as a wideout, and 11 snaps as an inline tight end. And the Chiefs did a lot more of the tight end stuff than the receiver stuff, but you do see him move around like that. And like you said, you can obviously do that with guys like Dulcich, with like most of those tight ends. With Semaje, we saw that a lot. And Javonte, I mean, that's like what Alvin Kamara does.
Yeah.
So that is, I'm excited to see what it actually looks like, because we haven't actually seen too much of that stuff in minicamp. And I can't say any more details than that, but I don't know. I do think that they're about to kind of unleash more of that. And from there,
this is why Javonte's health is so key. Him being available week one is crucial, because
are you doing that with Jaleel McLaughlin?
Right.
You're probably not.
You're not, man.
And he's the other one with kind of that skill set. Yeah. And I guess, I mean, Tyler Badie. How do you think, who's next up as just like a pure running back, Jones, Tyler Badie, and then Jaleel McLaughlin are the three others.
So Jones to me is more of a receiving speed guy, and I think will have to contribute in the return game to have a fit. I think Badie, McLaughlin are more natural, like change of pace. They're actually very similar in size. I think McLaughlin's 5'8", 196. Badie's 5'8", 197. McLaughlin's a track star, ran a 4.44 at his pro day. Badie ran a 4.45 at the combine. Both with incredible stats. Badie, of course, at the SEC level. And was Missouri's leading wide receiver his final year. Yeah, an all SEC freshman team, an All-American, just all-purpose beast.
We saw that last year when he got in at the end of the season, touched the ball twice. One was a 29-yard touchdown catch.
Yeah, he also, I mean, he was getting, 4th, 5th round grades. He drops to the 6th, goes to a deep running back room at the Ravens where they have yet to kind of figure things out. And then, I mean, moves on. He's a big play breaker, and unlike he's already got some NFL experience and snaps under his belt. And unlike McLaughlin, Badie, coming from that SEC background, is more used to having to break tackles, having to churn out yards, having to run between the tackles. We talked about McLaughlin yesterday. It's a very like RPO shotgun runner. I think Badie is going to be much more equipped to actually take touches out the backfield. And I think the same goes with Badie versus Tony Jones. Tony Jones is more of like a weapon out the shotgun, a movement guy, and a receiver out the backfield, while Badie is more of a, he has those receiving chops. I think he has over 100 receptions overall in his career at Mizzou, but he's the more complete back, more physical, and still has some of that long speed. So I lean Badie, who I think has a very intriguing resume.
I would go with Badie also. Just to Tony Jones, he got 10 carries last year, also had 8 targets. So like it's small sample size, but you kind of see that he is that weapon out of the backfield. Again, like that is Jaleel McLaughlin because you're not willing to throw him between the tackles. Last year, Javonte Williams led the Broncos in broken tackles.
Yes.
Pretty crazy when you only play 4 or 5 games, 5 games.
Sure is. It sure is. How far off was Latavius Murray?
I'm not sure. I mean, Javonte only had 6, so
oh my.
Not far off.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. Latavius fell forward a lot.
I
didn't necessarily truck guys.
I would hope your top 3 backs are all able to surpass 6. My goodness, that is horrendous.
It is horrendous. And let's see, I know I have in my notes. Javonte actually led the NFL in broken tackles 2 years ago.
Now that checks out. That makes more sense. My goodness. Let me ask you this, Hank, as we're talking about this, how do you feel about the third running back, especially with Javonte being, I mean, look, there's some question marks about how he'll perform coming back. And what are your feelings on some of the vet running backs that are still out there? Of course, Dalvin Cook, Zeke Elliott, the more prominent names, but they're far from the only names.
I mean, we could just run. Dalvin Cook is still very explosive. I think that what he's really lost is just the ability to fight through contact, like the ability to fall forward. I think he wound up first in the NFL in rushes. Was it 1 yard or less or 0 yards? Maybe it was just straight up loss of yards on runs. And so I wonder with this offensive line, if you could just get him in situations where he's not being touched, and so he can use some of that speed and explosiveness, and you maybe don't see as much of the kind of decline in his play. Still, if he's asking for a lot of money, if you wind up in a situation where Javonte is fully healthy and Semaje also makes it through the season healthy, it would be kind of a waste, I think, to spend that money at that position. But you don't know that about Javonte. And it's running back, so who knows what's going to happen to any of the running backs. So, I mean, there was a minute there where I thought it was a bad idea. There was a minute where I got really excited about it. And now if they do it, I see why, but I'm not pushing too hard.
And an upgrade at the third.
Yeah, definitely an upgrade on the third.
Yeah.
But I was...
Though I'd give it to I'd see what Badie's really got, man.
Well, even if it doesn't work out, you still have McLaughlin, who is probably more of a lottery ticket.
A real chance,
but,
yes.
And just for what it's worth, since the Super Bowl season, the Broncos' third running back has gotten about 10% of the running back touches. And since the same time for the Saints, well, I threw out last year because Sean Payton wasn't the coach, it was 7.5%. So you factor in like, oh, Mark Ingram was hurt that year. Last year, the third running back was actually Javonte because he got hurt so early. But that's 13.5%, which is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And I do think, especially when you like look at the names of those guys. Before that, it was Mike Boone. Before that, it was Royce Freeman. Before that, it was Devontae Booker. Before that was Devontae Booker. Before that was Jamal Charles. Before that, Justin Forsett. Before that, Juwan Thompson in the Super Bowl season. I mean, it'd be nice if that guy was Dalvin Cook. And I guess in theory, he probably jumps Semaje, and Semaje goes down that third guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know that you need to make that jump.
No, I think that's fair. I think you're at a point where you can let it play out, see where you're at through camp, couple games in preseason. And then, once cuts start happening into preseason, you can keep a lookout. And
they were able to find Latavius during the season. And in the games he started, he had 5 yards per carry. His season stats weren't as good because he had kind of a slow start, but if you really need to patch things together, you can do that. And if you're going out there and trying to patch together your running back position, you're probably not looking at 11, 12 wins anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then with Zeke, he feels, I don't know. He to me is probably just over the hill. I think he has lost his legs more than Cook. And, he runs at this point probably pretty similarly to Semaje.
Yep. I was going to say.
It's kind of redundant there.
Yeah.
But you don't have, if you lose Semaje, you don't have another one of those true big back types. Javonte can do anything, but it's not like Badie or McLaughlin are guys you want fighting for 4th and 1s.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Anything else on the running backs? Probably not. I feel like we kind of covered it.
Yeah.
Especially because we talked so much about McLaughlin. We're going to divide up the touches, which is going to be a lot of fun. But first, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Circa Resort and Casino. That's a crazy one.
Dude, are you seeing how amazing this place looks?
Yes.
The stadium swim, is it?
Oh yeah, the stadium swim.
Wow.
That's what I knew it for. Because you got the big pool with the big TV, so you can go watch sports. If you're into pools, that's a good spot for you.
You a pool guy?
I'm actually not.
It looked well shaded.
Okay.
I'm a sit in the water guy.
Okay. See, so I wound up. I was on the swim team for 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Which meant that for
Montana
2.5
State
months. 2.5 months. Every morning at 6 a.m. you're outside swimming for 2.5 hours, and there's brutal workout. It was not fun. And then on the weekends, so 5 days a week of that. Weekends you're in some tiny little town in Montana, Shelby or Cut Bank or one of those, and you're just racing. And so you do that for 2.5 months, your entire summer for 4 years. On top of that, lifeguard for 3 years, teaching 6 swim lessons a day. I just kind of got burned out.
Dare I say, I think the stadium swim is going to be a different kind of experience.
Probably a little bit different vibe.
It's
probably have a bar in the pool.
6 pools, 2 spas. Open 365 days a year.
And they have sports. That's the big one.
All those screens, live betting. Wow. I mean, I know the DNVR Bar is the mecca, but Circa's just, my goodness. What a spot.
It was actually Vegas's first ever adults-only casino resort, which means that it saves time checking IDs. They've got the world's largest sports book. 3-story stadium style swim. Oh, that's the sports book. Obviously not the pools. It takes 10 people to operate the 78 million pixel screen. Can you believe that? They've got all the VIP seating. They've got the Circa Sports app, which is available in Colorado, so download that. 7,000 square foot casino, 2 levels, 48 table games.
Yes.
The dealers dance.
Yes.
1,322 slots, 4,000 person capacity. I think that's just in the pool.
Oh my gosh.
15,000 square feet of wet space.
Hell yeah.
We love some wet space. And all the different rooms and stuff. You can follow around with the Nuggets guys who are staying out there for Summer League and doing all their shows from there.
Yeah.
So if you're going out there for the Broncos Raiders game, for the Avs Knights game, Pac-12 stuff, some Mountain West stuff out there as well. Mountain Wet.
Yeah,
if
the
you're
Mountain Wet. Damn straight.
Book your stay with the code DNVR20 for 20% off. And also download the app at circusports.com. They can only be made while physically located in the state of Colorado. Must be 21 or older. All rights reserved. Circa Sports Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. Gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org.
Booyah. Circa, they're amazing.
Circa is amazing. Also, Game Time.
Game Time?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What's
the last show you've gone to?
Last show.
T-Swift?
No, I don't do that.
Oh, well.
People got mad at me. Like, because
okay.
Ryan took the video where I said, I don't give a fuck about Taylor Swift. Swifties don't like that. Even Allie got mad. She's like, you got to stop saying dumb stuff all the time. It's like, what is wrong with that? Like, I just don't give a fuck about her. Like, it's not that I don't like her. It's just that she is in no way a part of my life, you know? Like, you only hear about her when it's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers was dancing at her concert, you know? But if he hadn't done that, I would never have even thought, like, oh, I didn't hear about Taylor Swift.
Totally.
I could never hear about her again, and it would have.
Totally.
It wouldn't cross my mind.
Yep. So not that.
So not Taylor Swift.
No.
And I won't be going when she's here this weekend or whatever.
Okie doke.
Yeah. But other things like the Rockies, I do go to Rockies games.
Let's go Rockies. I got a bit of a baseball fever. I liked that derby yesterday. It was fun.
So I had no idea. I got here and somebody was like, when are the Rockies back? I was like, wait, back from what? And then I realized, like, oh, it must be all-star stuff. And I was like, when's the home run derby? And they're like, tonight. And I was like, oh. And then I didn't watch. I did hear Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez? No, he set the record.
Sure. Yep.
But he didn't win.
He launched 40 bombs in one round.
It's a lot of bombs.
Insane. For example, at Game Time, you could get in on some preseason tickets right now.
Wow.
Right, Henry?
You probably
Broncos
could.
preseason?
I was just looking at Rockies tickets.
Rams at Broncos, $826. That's preseason, yeah.
Damn. If you want
$34 is the cheapest right now.
If you want to go to Arizona to watch the game there, including fees, you can pay $8 to go watch that preseason game.
Oh my gosh.
Lower level for 21. Can we do better than that?
Game Time is going to take care of you, and when you sign up, use that code DNVR for $20 off. They've been awesome, man. They're great. Even down at Summer League, we were using them for grabbing some last-minute tickets, which is what they specialize in. Just download the Game Time app. Super easy to use. That's what I'm looking at right now for all these tickets. And use that code DNVR when you sign up for $20 off. At sign up, that's basically $8. Game in Arizona.
$8.
2 free Broncos tickets right there.
Wow.
Boom. Congratulations. Thank you, Game Time. You guys are the best.
That's the third row of the upper level, too.
Nice.
It's not like way up at the top.
Nice. Please hit the like button, guys. We need it.
We do need it.
Zaxter is going to yell at us when he comes back from his wedding. So please, I beg you. All right.
Likes and subscribes and watch us every day. And listen also. Watch us, then go listen on Apple, then listen on Spotify, then listen on whatever else there is.
Okay. Let's not make this another read gone wrong.
Okay.
Let's move along with the show.
Okay. So we're going to divide up how many touches we think that these Broncos running backs are going to get this year.
Hell yeah.
I ran through, like I said, and just looked back at the Broncos since the Super Bowl season, Sean Payton since the year the Broncos won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And there were a couple of things that I noticed. First of all, Broncos running backs averaged 454 touches total across all of them. Saints, 485. So you wind up with another 31 touches, which is
I would have thought
about
more.
with like Kendall Hinton, Chase Edmonds, Greg Dulcich, Mike Boone. They all had 26 to 33 touches last year. So you're getting like a full Greg Dulcich worth of touches. Now for a running back, it feels more like Chase Edmonds or Mike Boone, who you barely remember from last year. But who remembers anything from last year?
I would have thought more because they're not constantly trailing. It's hard to run the ball when you're down double digits going into the fourth.
Yep. I did expect a bigger difference too.
Yeah.
Than like a 7% difference. But on top of that, the Broncos in that time have averaged 4.8 running backs getting a touch per year. So you wind up with 4.8.
Yep.
For the Saints, 6.3. Because again, Sean Payton loves to run a bunch of guys out there.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, and well, it's even crazier.
Taysom Hill counts in that?
No, he doesn't count.
Oh.
I decided not to. He was the only tough one. Everybody else is easy. I decided I'm not counting Taysom Hill. He's just Taysom Hill. So you could throw, I mean, he got a touch in half those seasons, so another half running back on top of that.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy, though.
They also just seem to have loaded running back rooms for a minute there.
They did.
Yeah.
Yes. Like Adrian Peterson isn't getting touches. They'd throw in like CJ Spiller at one point.
Well, they had Latavius for a minute, right?
They did. Yeah, for a couple years.
Yeah.
Last year, though, 8 Broncos backs got touches. Before that, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 in the Super Bowl season.
Boom.
Yeah. So there really aren't as many. Then you look at, obviously, Saints, it's like 6 every year, which is crazy. But then the big one, 52% of touches go to the Broncos. Number 1 back, number 2's 33, number 3's 10, and then it kind of dies off. Saints 54, 31, 7.5.
Oh, very similar.
It is similar. It just, at the end, it's very balanced.
Yeah, and I'm sure once you have Alvin Kamara, that allows you to lean into that RB1 a bit more.
Exactly. Right? That's like the last year's 63%, which is the most of any back by a mile.
Right.
But because they didn't have Mark Ingram for most of the season because he was hurt, Tony Jones was their other option, and solid 2.4 yards per carry.
Right. That's a good breakdown, right?
So there's kind of where you're looking at if you need numbers to base this off of.
Do you expect that kind of split?
I think it's going to be similar. I think I'll throw 50s, my first one in there.
30s.
Javonte, I'm going 50%. I think it's a nice round number, and I mean, I think in a totally healthy world, it's probably closer to 60. Maybe it's like 58, 59. But
you expect them to lean on Javonte that much?
I think so. I think
more than they were leaning on Alvin Kamara in New Orleans.
I think about the same. I think it's about the same.
Or 6% more.
I mean, what, 63% for Kamara in 2021, 59, 55, 55.
I guess there were numbers before over that time span of 54 got me.
And then so
when you break it down like that, okay.
I think that it's basically the same as Alvin Kamara, mostly because Kamara was competing with Mark Ingram, and I think Mark Ingram might be a touch better than Semaje and kind of your other options here. Not by much, but that's why I think that's where I start is like that 58%, but because you're probably easing him in a bit, because there's a chance for injuries to flare up at some point this season or for him to not even start the season, I'm just going 50 off the top.
Okay. I like that. I guess I'm not that far off, but I'm actually going to go 45% for Javonte.
Okay.
Early in the year, I think you're going to have to save him. No preseason necessarily. I think they will ease him in, and I expect like we were talking about in the first segment, I do think it could be, 15 touches, but they're 15 touches where we're getting them out in space. We're putting them on the field in high leverage situations.
Yeah.
And we're, so we're not riding in for 20 touches, but we're able to maximize his touches a little more this way. So yeah, I just doesn't feel like a year where you're riding anyone specifically. So that I'm just a little lower than you on that one.
Yeah. I'm going to go 35% for Semaje. I think
lean on him pretty heavily for an RB2.
Definitely. Yeah. And you've seen that, like 2021, Javonte had 51, Melvin had 48, which is crazy. They just didn't really, they barely rotate anybody else in.
Wow.
And that's kind of been the formula in Denver. They just haven't been able to get 2 running backs to stay healthy for a full season, which isn't that big of a surprise.
What was that looking like in Sean Payton's final couple years?
The closest
in New Orleans.
They never, I mean, the most ever for a number 2 back was Kamara's rookie year. That was 54% Ingram, 37% Kamara. And then 5% Adrian Peterson, and a few other guys just kind of got a handful of touches. But like at the end, it was 63% Kamara, 19% Mark Ingram, who was out for more than half of the year. So that kind of skews things. And they just kind of piecemealed the rest together. Tony Jones and Alex Armah, Dwayne Washington, and Divine Ozigbo, former Bronco, Adam Prentice.
Right. I'm going to go 38% on Semaje.
Okay.
Kind of torn between your 35, going a full 40. Some split in the difference. I do think he's just a valuable piece to this offense as a pass protector, as a short yardage back, as a guy who can be your RB1 when need be, a guy who can still catch the ball, and just like an important insurance policy for Javonte essentially in that backfield. So give me 38%. I think it's going to be fairly by committee, especially the first half of the season. So that's where I think the split might be closer to 40-40, and then maybe past week 8, 9, 10, Javonte taking a heavier load. I really hope that's the case, because that would be an amazing way to let this unfold this season.
That would be awesome. I mean, that's the goal, I think. Let's see. We'll go in the order on the graphic.
Yeah. Jose cracked me up with he said Tony Jones gets 0% because he's not going to be on the roster next year.
That is something you factor in. That's why I mentioned, like, typically the Broncos only have 4 guys get touches. So if you wanted to throw zeros out there, I'm not going to, just because I think Javonte's...
It's the Saints having 6, though, that really piqued my interest.
It's the Saints doing what they do, and Javonte's injury situation, and the fact that you're so unsure of the guys at the back. You know, if Tony Jones Jr. was Dalvin Cook, I'd say, you know what? I'll just give those 3 guys 98% and give Burton a couple, and we're going to call it good. But I do think that they want to work those guys in.
At least Tony Jones has some experience in that offense, right?
Definitely. And like Jaleel McLaughlin, probably on the practice squad, I think you probably see him in there for a couple games, see if he pops, because you're allowed to play him 2 games. And if he does pop, then all of a sudden you find a roster spot for him and you're off and running.
Yeah.
Tony Jones Jr., I have him at 2%. I've said on the podcast, he's not... I treat him unfairly because I'm so excited about the other young guys back there. And I feel like we've seen enough of him to say, I mean, he's probably never going to be a Pro Bowler, you know? And doing the thing that people do when they fall in love with the unknown instead of the guy who you know is just like a steady but, you know, depth contributor. I'm only giving 2.
I was pretty high on him coming out the draft, relatively speaking. Like, he came out some good Notre Dame offenses, and he came in at 220 at the combine, tested horribly. Just, it hasn't happened. Sometimes you just got to be like, you know, the guy isn't who I thought he was. I'm going 0%. I agree with Alex in the comments saying I think another running back ends up on the roster.
That's fair.
Who's not on this list. We could have the field, you know, or like street free agent as a hidden other category. And I think that's where Tony kind of loses out the fight. So, yeah, I'm going 0% here.
That's fair. And I'll say I think Javonte, Semaje, and Badie make the roster. And Michael Burton. And then Jones and McLaughlin, I think, are both on the practice squad. I think they'll both get a couple touches.
Interesting.
Over the course of the season.
Interesting.
Badie's up next. I've got 8% for Badie.
I like that. I really believe in Badie, though. And I will go 15%.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I
think the kid pops and does some stuff. So, yeah. And I know we're all high on McLaughlin. I think he's much more of a, like, practice squatter.
Probably.
Special teamer than actually in that running back rotation. Badie has some real, like, this guy could be, like, as excited as people were about Mike Boone last year, I'm excited about Tyler Badie this year.
I like that. I like that comparison. Jaleel McLaughlin, I've got him at 2%, same as Tony Jones. I think it's kind of the same thing. You go up there, you give him his touches. Jones probably gets to go first because you trust him a little bit more. And McLaughlin, I don't know. Odds are he's not going to be earning too many more touches, although it'd be really fun if he did.
Yeah. I've got 3% to play with here. I'm going to go McLaughlin 1%, please.
That's fair.
Just as, like actual touches at running back. Hard to say.
Yeah.
So much depends kind of on the health of the other guys.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, I've got 2 for McLaughlin, and I'll go 3 for Burton.
Okay.
Typically fullbacks are getting like it was 1.5% for Boone, but the Broncos didn't have a fullback touch before that since Jano was taking 1 to 2% every year.
So will we post this graphic on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay, give me 2% for Burton, but truth is, I think that 2%, the McLaughlin 2%, and 5% of that 15% for Badie can be played with for the potential free agent that's added after week 3 or 4 of preseason.
Nice.
Should be.
Might be 1 over.
It's 1 over.
Oh, you
okay,
got to take
give
one
me
away.
1% for Burton.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Not that horrible.
All right. We did it.
How do you feel about that? Who do you think is going to be more accurate?
I'm a little biased, but I think I will.
Mm-hmm.
They were my decisions.
Might be a smidge high on Badie. But again, that's because I think there could be another name in here that factors in that isn't a factor as of now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, there we go. We've got a few more names we want to talk about in terms of guys who could fit into the backfield who maybe aren't running backs.
Oh,
but
teaser.
First, Kind Love.
Woo!
Kind Love is awesome. It's your local farm-to-table dispensary.
Dude, that's how they do it out there.
That is how they do it. They just breed all their own stuff and grow all their own stuff and then make it and package it and do all those sorts of things and sell it.
Yep.
And you can find some of their stuff in other stores, but the Kind Love stores are the best stores.
It's the place to go.
It is definitely the place to go. They've got stores in Cherry Creek and North Denver, where if you mention DNVR, you will get the exclusive discount of 25% off all Kind Love flour, pre-rolls, and their turbo joint line. And the turbo joint, what that is like they make their turbo cores, which is like a little toothpick that's made out of oils that you shove right in there and you burn it, and it makes the joint 3 to 5 times more powerful. You can also put it in like a cigarette or a cigar or whatever you want.
Yep. It burns longer, adds some nice taste to it, and it'll get you spiced up, if you know what I mean. The term turbo. Does the turbo joint have more the effect of a Jaleel McLaughlin run?
Whoa.
Right? Turbo just like
wow.
Or is it more like the bruising downhillness of a Semaje Perine where you're like boom, like damn.
I'm thinking Semaje.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because turbo you'd think it would not be, but I think it is that Semaje run.
Yeah. I think it's more of an Alvin Kamara almost. Yeah. Feeling good, like I've got that. I'm moving well in space, but there's also packs a punch for sure.
Yep.
Alvin Kamara is like 215 points.
Head on over to kindlove.com. You can see their whole menu. You can order online for either of their stores. Remember, use the code DNVR.
Yeah,
mention DNVR to them.
us.
Get 25% off all flour pre-rolls and their turbo joints.
Boom.
And also Backus and Shanker. If you're in any trouble, something horrible happened. I can't think of any bad things right now.
No, right.
Nothing running back related.
Why would you?
Semaje Perine just kind of runs you over with his car.
You went to a Rockies game and you feel like they wasted your money.
Wow.
I actually don't think you can call Backus and Shanker on that one.
But since we're not sure, you can call them and set up a consultation. They'll tell you at 222-2222. They've won over $1 billion for Coloradans. They've been working in the state for 25 years. They've got offices all over the state, from Denver to Aurora to Inglewood to Fort Collins, and they've got more than 30 lawyers and 100 staff.
Dang.
So call Backus and Schenker if you need help with any kind of injury case where you weren't at fault, like a car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. They can even help if you're injured at work. So call them at 222-2222 to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Schenker wins.
Would it be Andreas and Hanker?
Wow. No.
What would it be if it was both of you together? I still think it's Andreas and Hanker.
Andre and Hankers.
Andreas, you need the S for it to be like Backus.
You need the whole cuss.
Do you?
Dracus?
Simone Chisholm.
No, it has to sound like Backus and Schenker because it's Hanker.
Hankus and Simoneker.
It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Zackus and Schenker. Zackus and Hanker works great.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
So, you see, like Deebo Samuel is probably the best example, easily the best example. A receiver who also lines up in the backfield and does backfield things.
Yeah, man.
I always thought Laviska Shenault, that's what you should do with him, because otherwise, what's the point of him?
What the heck?
Yeah. It's not his fault.
There's also
they
that
put him
guy
back
from
there.
Memphis who Antonio
Gibson.
We were all hyped about him because he was a
Yep.
They're just using him like a running back.
They are. And he's been good.
What if he got cut? He's got a lot of backs there.
Yeah. I don't think he'll get cut. But if he did, it'd be cool.
He'd be the kind of name I'd be on the lookout for.
That'd be a good one.
Kenneth Gainwell, they added DeAndre Swift and stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Why not?
Fine. Thanks for humoring me.
Who else would you like to sign if they get cut?
Just do the whole episode on like guys Andre was wrong on, but would still like to see on the Broncos so he can get hyped for 2 weeks before he sees them be trash in preseason.
There's the list.
Yeah, that's I won't go further down that list.
So point
Deebo
is,
Samuel.
you see a bunch of like receivers who are starting to get used more in the backfield.
Oh,
you see some like even tight ends who maybe get used back there. You see Taysom Hill, who isn't really, who knows what he is.
Right.
But he's Sean
30-year-old
Payton's.
Mormons, yeah.
That's what it is. The 30-year-old Mormons.
I'm just being silly, guys.
Broncos don't have one of those.
Okay,
Bulls.
well,
Bulls. Grew up in a Mormon family. 30 years old.
Absolutely.
There's a chance.
Yep.
He will not be in the backfield though, would be my guess.
No, we've seen him flexed out wide once to block for a screen. It did not go well.
Yeah. Are there any receivers you consider putting back there?
Yes.
Hamler or Mims?
We've seen it with Hamler
We have we?
at Penn State.
Oh, okay.
He is so damn small.
He is small.
I'm terrified to do it.
Yep.
But
But
he would be the guy.
I feel kind of bad when I say things like this, but like if
Oh gosh.
Hamler gets hurt,
Uh-huh.
that's the expectation. Like I don't think you can use
I mean, it is.
you can't really
It
use
is.
the kid gloves anymore because he's got 1 year on his contract.
Yeah.
And it's either going to work for him or not. And you'd almost just be holding him back by not using him in the way he'd be best used.
Hey, man,
because
you're absolutely
what's his
right.
future if he does what he's done the last couple of years?
It's a great point.
So
It's a great point, honestly.
I do think that Hamler's at the top of my list.
Yes.
I think that Mims also makes a lot of sense because he's the punt returner type. Like his ability to make people miss is even better than KJ's. I think the speed is. Who do you think's faster? I think I still go KJ. Mims has those slightly longer legs though, and that might do it.
I think KJ will get up to speed, so you'll faster, so you'll get a better 10-yard dash. I think his long speed, like beyond
20 to
40,
40. Okay.
is going to be longer. 40-ish, they're probably about the same. Thing is, Mims more compact, so it's going to be harder to break down. I think he's better at breaking tackles and what have you, which makes him intriguing. What if I threw Lil Jordan Humphrey at you?
This is why I was excited about this, to hear what names you're going to throw at me. That'd be
12 carries
He's
at Texas.
interesting.
6'4", 225. He's built like a truck, man.
He is.
I mean, he looks Dante Foreman-esque as
Yes.
far as like the kind of size he is. Big wide receiver. Bless you, Yahir.
Thank you.
I think he could fit in that. I think he could fit in that mold.
I think he definitely could.
Yeah.
That
Got you intrigued, huh?
the tough part is the roster spot.
Yes, it is.
And so finding a way to actually get him on the team would be tricky.
Yeah.
But I do think that I've had trouble finding a path, but I think that is the path. Is he can prove he can be kind of that weapon, move around, run all those short little routes, because that's what he's good at anyway. Like, you're probably not running him downfield all that much because he's not fast. You just want him on like the slants, on the quick outs, those sorts of things.
Exactly.
And you can do so much of that from the backfield, move him to the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. And I almost wonder if
It's just a big, dangerous man, you know?
he is very dangerous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be too close to him.
It's an actual concern for you.
Yes, I like that idea. I do. The other thing on Mims, real quick, I wouldn't do it this year. I think that I'm not teaching my rookie receiver how to.
I mean, once
how
in
to
a
take
while,
take a handoff in my limited practice time with him.
Yeah,
I want to teach him the offense, get him out there, and maybe next year you circle back around, or halfway through the season you get to the point.
Yeah, I wouldn't embrace a full-blown Debo role year one. Use him like you do a slot, though, and from time to time, can you give him a jet sweep and stuff like that? Absolutely.
Jet sweeps and stuff, I'm all for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kendall
Those are the
Hinton, he's had experience taking snaps directly from the backfield. I would say, he presents some danger then as a direct ball carrier to then throw the ball, but we've actually seen him throw the ball, and I don't know how much fear that's going to put into opposing defenses. But just a name to throw out there.
Yep. I'd throw Dulcich out there, too.
Uh-huh.
I do think he's going to be moving around a lot.
I agree.
Especially because you don't just want him as an inline tight end because he's not a great blocker. And you teach him how to block and hope that he gets better in year 2 and year 3 and gets a grown man strength at some point. But for now, if you're putting him out there for half the Broncos snaps, the more of those that you can get him where he's not just on the line of scrimmage, the better.
Yeah.
If you're splitting him out in the slot, if you're putting him in the backfield somehow, I think that getting creative there can help negate some of the blocking issues.
I would have said Tim Patrick a few years ago, pre-injury. He's also 6'4", like he's a little
lanky,
a little too lanky. But yeah, I think at this point you want him to just focus on wide receiver and not mess with that.
Yep, definitely.
Jerry Jeudy kind of has the frame, but he's just such a divine route runner. I don't think you want to take him away from that.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yeah, with his hand up.
What about Greg Dulcich?
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
we're on the same page, aren't we?
Yeah. As just mentioned, Greg Dulcich, definitely.
Big fan of the pod you're here over
An
there.
option, yeah. And as the count mentions, Hinton, the bigger question is, does he even make the roster? My bet would be 9. No.
I agree. I think that that's definitely the easy bet, but I also think that things are going to get weird in these cuts because I think whenever there's a new coach, there's just like a different way of doing things, especially a super empowered coach like Sean Payton, who knows exactly what he wants and is willing to say, I don't know, just as an example, like, oh, you have KJ Hamler. I don't need a KJ Hamler. I just don't. And I don't think that's true because like speed and all that. But I think he'd be willing to cut some guys who others would not be willing to cut in order to keep guys like Lil Jordan Humphrey or like Brandon Johnson or like whoever he winds up liking at the end of the roster. But if you just go through Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Marvin Mims, there's 4 roster spots.
Right.
KJ, Kendall Hinton, Brandon Johnson, Marcus Callaway, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Montrell Washington, Jalen Virgil, Taylor, it's tough to bet on any of those guys individually making the team.
Yeah, at that point, I'd almost
it's just coin tosses.
Right, and I might play a coin on Nate Adkins taking some,
Nate Atkins, running back, probably not. You could maybe like a third down, the pass protector.
With a head of steam in space. I like what he brings to the table.
Give him a couple of handoffs. Yeah, you could find a way to make it work. Could get real
man.
crazy with a defensive player.
Exactly.
Pat Surtain, but that's just getting crazy.
Exactly.
Taylor Grimes now.
No. Can't be done.
No.
What about Albert O?
Albert O.
Big, fast, kind of just short.
H-back type. Runs a 4.4. We're just, once you get into the tight ends, it's kind of a different combo.
It is.
Because they're so much bigger. These are, it becomes more like, he's an adapted fullback than that true Deebo Samuel role,
I think the case for Dulcich is you just want to find ways to use him. Alberto, I don't know that you're going out of your way to be like, how can we get Alberto on the field?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I'm curious.
Yep.
All right. Before we hit the end of the show, just want to give a shout out to.
Yeah, before we get the Foco out of here.
Get the Foco out of here.
Boom.
Gotta give a shout out to Foco.
Dude, right now they still have this Terrell Davis bobblehead on there.
Still.
Yes.
Those should be sold out.
I know. It's a limited edition, but I don't think it's sold out. It's with that. TD has that old school Broncos jersey on it.
Ooh.
And it's in front of like the old Mile High with the like flags. This is a gorgeous bobblehead that Foco has. They've got Broncos sweats for you. They've got Broncos slippers for you.
They've got so many Broncos things.
How about some Broncos plaid overalls, Henry?
I was just thinking I need those.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you and I should be on like a college basketball sideline rocking these. They have some amazing Broncos shorts. You've seen the sun hats, some lit Broncos sunglasses. You're saying, but Dre, I'm not really interested in all that. What I'm in the market for is Broncos Christmas ornaments. Holy shit.
Wow.
Have you come to the right place? Broncos Christmas ornaments is what Foco has.
Wow. I was just thinking that also.
Right?
Yeah. Got to stock up.
But no. Trey, candy cane Broncos Christmas ornaments. Oh my God, you've come to the right place. Foco has those as well. Wow. All you have to do is use that code DNVR, and I don't know, let's say you get 10% off all the amazing stuff I just mentioned.
Wow.
That's what the graphic says, so you can't hold me to it. I'm scrolling through their
I like the idea
website.
of the Alex
read.
Singleton bobblehead
Oh my gosh.
in the chat. But what I would do is I'd make the hair like hair. Not like made of like the plastic, but the hair just kind of like, same thing with Dulcich. That'd be a good one.
Just be gathering, you like come into a barber shop and just start sweeping up some hair.
I was
for
thinking
your
more like thread, like a doll.
Alex
but
Singleton.
Like a doll, yeah.
Oh, like a doll.
Yeah,
Like
I think
I don't
Dre
know.
immediately
I don't know
remember
how to
your
make
hair.
dolls. Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably not
Hank.
with real
I'm
hair.
more interested in a Broncos ski mask, which they do have.
Oh.
Also, like Broncos bikinis, they have those. They kind of have everything.
Ooh, know what you should do?
Yeah.
You get the Chiefs ski mask, and then you go rob something,
How dare you?
and then they'll think, "Wow, he would never wear the Chiefs ski mask. He likes the Broncos."
The DNVR Broncos podcast in no way endorses you purchasing a Chiefs ski mask, but more importantly, committing a robbery. That is
Speak for
DNVR as a
yourself.
corporation does not abide by that.
Wow.
How about a Broncos lunchbox? Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Okay, thank you.
Foco.com. Check it all out. They have a lot. They have a lot, guys.
Any super chats? No super chats. Day
Spoiler
3, no
alert.
super chats. Wow.
Really,
People hate
great tenure of mine.
us. Yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned RK was on the show, so the count, half his question is for RK.
Oh. So we'll just have to spin it a little bit. So from the count, RK, over under 25 drinks you enjoyed while in Las Vegas. And what was your favorite and why? So you just have to answer how
Yeah.
many do
How
you
many
think over or
drinks?
under?
Okay. When did they leave?
Friday?
It's a
Friday,
Dude,
Saturday,
yeah.
Sunday, Monday. Yeah, it's way over.
That is a poorly set line, the count. I think.
He also thought he'd be back today.
What was
Still,
the
the
number?
week-
But still,
The
one
week-
day doesn't
Friday,
make a difference.
Saturday, Sunday, I think he hits over 35.
Probably. Yep, he's probably
I
going
think
10 a day.
the 42 and a half was the right line count.
No, I still take the over on that.
Wow.
Because they are poolside while betting, and then you had a UFC fight night on
Don't
Saturday.
you
This
don't
is
get
the
as thirsty when
longest-
you're in liquid though.
No,
This is
but
the
he didn't go to the
longest
pool.
Ryan has gone without having to do a show or be on air. Probably in like 9 years.
Yeah, unless you count when you just kind of mails it in.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the good folks at Circa are hooking it up. Oh, count. This was a poorly set line. Poorly set line. I can't wait to hear what his favorite was.
What was his favorite, Dre?
It's going to be something. It's like a jalapeno margarita, something like that.
It sounds about right for him.
Right.
That's a good combo.
Yeah, he's a fancy guy.
Hank, would you rather have Larry Kraskowiak, Shannon Sharp, and Nikola Jokic officiate your wedding? Keep in mind, whomever reads your nuptials on the stage. Wait, whomever? I think it's whoever.
Keep in
Whoever
mind
reads, yes.
who reads your nuptials on the stage, altar, or whatever
Will
will
be
be fully
Wow.
clad in the full. Okay, so explain this for people who don't get the inside joke.
So Larry Kraskowiak, Montana legend,
What do you do?
Uh,
Player, coach,
both.
long tenured
So first,
janitor
born-
that became a mascot.
Born in Missoula.
Okay.
Greatest basketball player ever to come from University of Montana.
Oh my gosh.
Also his assistant coach. I actually met him because he was Utah's coach for like a decade.
Where did he play pro ball?
He played.
Did he play out in Europe?
I don't think he ever went to Europe. I think it was like 8 of the 10 years in the NBA. And I think there was
Whoa.
one. Yeah.
The
He was-
association?
The association, yeah. Remember,
Oh
he was
my-
like head
this
coach.
league, am I
head coach
right?
of the Bucks.
No, I don't.
Oh, well, that's Larry Kraskowiak. Yeah, he was like NBA head
not
coach,
like you.
NBA
My
player.
radar doesn't go up anytime someone from Montana does something.
I guess that's.
You
I
got to
mean,
explain this to me and everyone else
that
in
is
the
fair.
chat.
I
you
just
know?
didn't think you were part of everyone else.
Okay, so he'd be decked out in a Montana Grizz basketball jersey.
Short shorts.
Right,
yes.
right. Okay, I'm
But yeah,
actually
So he was.
I'm copy pasting the comments so that I can Google him and look up some short shorts from
nice.
Larry.
He was also Utah's
Oh,
head
wow.
coach for like a decade,
The Utes.
and then retired.
Did he coach Andrew Bogut?
When was Andrew Bogut there?
Okay, well, Wikipedia that
You're
in
gonna have
just
to
a
explain to
sec.
the rest of us about Andrew
In
Bogut.
just a second.
But yeah, so Kraskowiak,
If
he
he coached Andre
retired.
Miller, I'm gonna lose my shit.
He retired before my last year covering CU, and so
Uh-huh.
Tad brought him out for a practice because they're like friends.
Oh my god!
So I got to hang out with Kraskowiak. He
You must
doesn't
have felt like your dad when he was at the Broncos game and Floyd Little
Wow.
was there, or
That-
Tommy Jackson.
probably.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that was cool. He didn't
so cool.
He didn't hate Montana State all that much. He said that like as he like kind of moved along in basketball, he just wanted to cheer for good things to happen in the state of Montana. It's like, that was a little disappointing for
I
me.
kind
Everything
of feel
else
like
was
that
great.
about the state of Colorado.
Wow. But I mean, like, who's Western's rival?
Oh, I mean, the big rival is Mesa.
Okay. So you don't really hate Mesa?
No, they suck, man. Screw
Okay.
those
There you
guys.
go. Okay.
Yeah.
So you do have that.
Yeah.
All
Fair.
that said, I
It's a
still
good point. It's a good point. I didn't go to CU or CSU. It's a good point.
Shannon Sharp, just to show my respect, he would be great as like a
No, as an orator,
He would be
that'd
incredible.
amazing.
he'd probably do the best job
Doy.
by a mile.
He'd make that go viral the most.
The thing is, I don't really care if I have a good wedding. I would probably prefer to just be around Nikola Jokic and have him like interview me about my life. And you go through that whole process when you get married. And I think that if like the wedding would probably be worse,
You would
it would
like
be worth
it
it
if
to me.
Jokic was like your pre-marriage counselor.
Yeah, because don't they like it's like, oh,
like
you're getting married, you gotta like sit down. Yeah, the uncle.
officiated. Yeah.
Yes. Never heard
Oh,
whose
that
uncle.
would be nice. That would be nice. That'd be fun for you.
Yeah, and so I think I've got to go that way. Keep in mind, whomever reads your nuptials on stage. Oh, we got that. So there we go. Also, Derek Carr's playoff drought will continue again this season. Love the count. Agreed?
He did get him to the playoffs that one year when he was an
Yep.
MVP finalist, but he didn't play
Crazy.
in the playoffs because he was
True.
injured by then.
That is true.
I don't know if that counts as his playoff drought, though.
I think it does. When's the last time he played the playoff game?
No, he's never played because he was
See?
injured that one year they made. But I'm just saying, he earned the team making it
Yeah.
to the playoffs.
He earned it, but he didn't do it. Like, it's still a drought, I think. Like, he hasn't played a playoff game. Like, I think that would probably eat at him personally. I don't think he goes home and says, well, I did get the team there that one time. I think that not playing in the postseason eats
It's
him.
a fair point, man. It's a fair point. I'm not finding any clips of Larry playing at Montana. It's like sad.
It was almost pre-video.
Right. That
when
actually
you go
makes
back to like
sense.
the
Pre-video
70s?
Montana, that's even
That
worse.
actually makes
Yeah.
sense. And I have
We got that
sadder
late.
news still. Larry didn't coach Andre Miller or Andrew Bogut.
wow.
Yeah.
They must have
Yeah.
been before his time.
Oh, yes.
Probably Andre Miller's probably there in like the 90s.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you nailed it. His last season was
He's almost as old
99.
as Larry.
Yeah. Larry's first season was like 2010. So
Yeah.
he missed him by a solid decade.
Timmy Allen.
Don't know who that is.
That's probably for the best.
Okay.
I'm kind of the Pac-12 expert of the,
so
like, the
I think Larry's out of
early
the mix.
2020s though. So
Larry's out of the mix.
yeah, plus I've already met him. You know.
Right. Like been there, done that.
Yep. That was a fun day.
Jokic just simply being next to him would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon would officiate an amazing wedding.
What about
Yeah.
Manning?
He'd almost
Peyton
be
Manning?
he should be emceeing.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you say, Yaya?
Peyton Manning? He's hilarious. He'd be great.
Peyton would be hilarious. Yeah. Is there anyone off the board you would take over? It sounds like you're taking Jokic.
Yeah. I can't read the comments like word for word from this distance.
Oh, what's going on?
What
What do you
did,
want me to catch you up on?
Thanks for giving.
Thanks for giving me ideas, Hank.
Okay.
Hankus and Andres. I
Okay.
got a scoot, boys. Have a great rest of your day, chat.
Have fun
Alex,
scooting.
have a great day. Then again from Bad Moon, like Case and Wentz Super Bowl, it doesn't count.
I bet he
Oh,
meant Carson.
dang, good from him. In fairness to me, I don't think an R is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is solid gold. Jared says PFM might steal the show.
Wow.
If we added PFM or any other legends from Montana or Denver sports,
Evil Knievel.
is there anyone that would supplant it? I don't know that Evil. Do we claim Evil Knievel?
He's from Butte,
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Montana,
Montana,
not Denver.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't
Gotta
take Evil
stay on
Knievel
your
over
toes
Joker.
here on this one.
I would Brock Osweiler. There's a nice little crossover. He actually has held a camp up there, but I think
He'd be a great
Peyton- I think it's
ring
Jokic.
bearer for you.
I think Jokic would be my number one, but then like Peyton probably number two. Vaughn would be up there for me because again, like
Vaughn, may I say, post ceremony party is probably my number one draft pick.
Unless you end up like
I think
Chad
so
Kelly.
too.
I'm crazy enough. I kind of think Yoke might be number two.
He knows
Not
how.
Chad Kelly, as Yaya suggests.
Oh, no, we're not going Chad Kelly.
Yeah.
Chad Kelly's not the answer
No, never the
to
answer.
this. Chad Kelly's not the answer.
If I saw him, though, I would ask him to FaceTime Jim.
Is Derek Carr going to continue his playoff drought though?
Yeah. Yippers.
Who wins that division? Panthers?
Yeah, that's true. Like that division
No.
is weak.
Bucks?
9.
The Falcons?
Yes.
Wow.
Artie Smith, you got me, man. I'm back,
Wow.
Artie. I'm back. No, if they start Desmond Ridder, though, jokes aside, they are not winning that division.
Yeah.
They're going to be trash.
I think
guess
it's the Panthers.
It's Bryce.
I think it is.
We're riding the Bryce train.
And I think
All
he's going to have a
aboard.
very Baker Mayfield career. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Quarterback
think
28 in the NFL.
I don't think stupidity in commercials will get him. I think
That's
lower
true.
body injuries will get him,
I
which is not the Baker Mayfield story.
That's fair. Bryce Young's going to get some commercials though.
Oh, he's getting commercial.
Probably- he's
I think
probably-
I've seen him in a Heisman house
re-
already.
oh yeah, probably.
Right?
I bet we're going to see. I bet State Farm. I wouldn't be surprised if he
Dang.
follows the Baker Mayfield path.
Dang. Shouts to those guys. Shouts to us, perchance.
Shouts to us and shouts to RK who might be back tomorrow.
Dang, that's what they say. But if I know anything about airlines in 2022 or 2023,
What year is
it
it?
ain't happening, baby.
That's
So-
true. Also Vegas.
So maybe have an alternate question for me as well in tomorrow's show as a just in case.
We'll have
okay?
Ryan answer if
Right.
he owes you.
It's a great shtick.
Yeah.
It's a great shtick. Okay.
All right, that's going to do it for today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on the way out. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to download
Many
the podcast
blessings.
everywhere you can download the podcast. Retweet the tweets about the podcast so that other people see the podcast.
Yeah.
Tweet out tweets about the podcast.
Yes.
Leave good reviews.
Yes.
5 stars. say nice things about whoever you want to say nice things about, but don't say mean things about the others unless it's you're here.
Boo! I
That's
never
good.
say mean things about you.
That's in bounds.
You say them all
That's
the time.
in bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for today.
It's kind of the heel of this
We'll
show.
see you tomorrow, probably.